Let's give them a hand as they come on up. So we'll have them go down and introduce themselves, what film they worked on, and then we'll take it from there. So go ahead.
Malcolm Washington, I did Benny Got Shot.
My name is Damien LeVeck. I directed The Cleansing Hour.
My name's Anya Adams. I directed Lemonade Mafia.
My name is Russell Simpson. I directed Home.
I'm Joey, and I produced Friday Night. Alexis is he's in Paris.
So we know it takes a army, a tribe, a cast and crew to make every film happen, and we have some people in the audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to have each filmmaker introduced who's here, and then once let them get done with everyone, and then we'll clap everyone so we're not stepping on anybody's names and we hear everyone that's here. So let's start here, and anybody that's here in the audience you want to...
Yeah, so representing Team Benny, we got Jonique, our producer.
Let's just hold the clap, hold it so we just hear everyone. I know it's tempting to clap with every single person.
And our amazing lead, Iantha.
Yeah, and who else? Okay,
good.
give them a hand, yeah. Say hi. Great.
Here with The Cleansing Hour is our father, Lance, Sam Jager. Stand up in the back, Sam.
Say.
And our associate producer, Steve Bradley, also in the back next to him.
Give him a hand, big hand.
Well, my cousin who wrote the piece is an actor, and so he's at an audition and couldn't make it, but he wanted to be here. He did? Yes! There he is! Keith Eady. Yeah. And then one of our illustrious actors, Mr. Barnes, stand up. He played Kyle. Theodore.
We have my wife, Nina Jamil, who produced the short, is here. Nico Miliani, who also produced the short with her, is here. Missy Feldman, production coordinator, is here. And also Sharon Lawrence is here. And there she is, just over there, who was obviously in the film. Big hand.
And illustrious board members, so we should shout out to that. Last but not least, Joey.
Okay. Adria's here, our main lead from Friday Night. Adria, can you please stand up? We also have Yuri and we have David, who are both producers from France. And Lisa Pantone, our casting director, is here as well.
Congrats to all the cast and crew and the filmmakers as well. Like I said before, it was a wonderful short films. Thank you for being creative and making all the hard work pay off. We're going to start with just, a lot of times when we watch short films, we see a lot of people cram a lot of information in a short time versus other ones where like, yes, this story's meant to be a short film. Like it's obvious that this was the medium and this is the story by which you're going to tell it. So can we just kind of go down the line and go kind of how the story kind of came to be and how did you know the short film format was the format you wanted to tell this story? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Our writer, Jory, couldn't be here tonight, but she's a wonderful poet, and our story actually came out of this poem that she wrote. About this woman who was trapped in this morgue with an this infinite number of bodies coming through. And we kind of thought of it from that point of view and viewed it like a war film in that way. And then from there, we kind of just expounded on the idea until it became, what you saw.
The Cleansing Hour was always meant to be a proof of concept for a feature film. So that was the reason why, short film, we were going to turn it into a feature. But as far as the story, it was born out of my history working in reality TV, and the writer, Aaron, we worked on this together, and it's the idea sort of came out of what is our the public's proclivity to believe anything they see on TV, and that seems to be even extended even further online with websites like LiveLeak and YouTube and that kind of thing. If it's online, it must be real. So we just sort of took it to the next logical extreme, which is exorcism, which I'm a big... honestly, you see, no joke, you see it online today I swear, every day I turn around, there's another crazy exorcism video from some country overseas. But anyway, it's the next thing that. Anyway, so I'm a huge horror fan. I love my biggest problem with horror films today is that most of them are not good. And the exorcism genre is my favorite. So just it was a perfect marriage.
It was really good. So the reason that I did this short was I work my day job as an AD, and I want to direct, and so I wanted to make that transition. So my cousin Keith and I were talking. I work on Blackish as an AD, so I work with Marseille, and she kind of inspired me when, just being around her, she seems like a young Dawn anyway. So Keith and I were talking and came up with this concept, and that's kind of why it was born. And the great thing that I can share with you tonight is that my first episode of Blackish is airing at 9 o'clock. So the reason for doing it really paid off.
Well, congratulations. It's amazing. It's okay. I don't know what to say now. Home is actually the second episode in a short format television show that I have written and that we are pitching at the moment. And I'd read a lot about the criminal justice system, and I wanted to sort of frame a show around a parole officer and all her different parolees, and each episode would focus on a different parolee, and then you'd never meet those parolees again. And I thought it was, I trained as an actor, and so I thought it would be an incredible piece for actors to come in and play a sort of rich character for a very short, intense period of time. And then this particular episode, I'd read a lot of articles about domestic abuse, and then when Sharon came on to play that role, well, I mean, what more can you say? It's fantastic. So, so thank you, Sharon.
Well, this is actually an interesting story. This film is part of a program of 4 short films that Lexus sponsors and the Weinstein Company produces. So this original concept from this director was actually a science fiction film. But when we were announcing our filmmakers at the Napa Valley Film Festival, we were announcing them on November 14th, 2015. And November 13th, 2015 was the Paris attacks. And he almost didn't get out just to be announced, and thankfully he got out and everything was fine for him. But he was there for 2 days at Napa Valley, and on his plane ride home, he wrote a brand new script. He called me up and he said, "Listen, Joey, I just have to be able to tell something. I was feeling this, and well, I have a brand new movie." So then I had to go and sell it to the Weinstein Company that we have a brand new film, and also sell it to Lexus that this movie wasn't about a terrorist attack. It was about a mother trying to find her daughter. That could have been any sort of disaster in the back. It happened to be the Paris attacks, but that's the long answer to the story. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. In reading the script, producing the script, writing the script, kind of what is some things that you keep in mind in the short format that you're like, okay, if this was a feature, we do it this way, but with the shorts, it has to be kind of done this way, or the story has to be told a little quicker. What are kind of some things that you had to keep in mind in kind of the writing process or in the story making process? Anyone can just kind of jump in with that.
I'll just say that the cleansing hour was very challenging because we wanted to get so much in. But the thing about, I think, how we made it work was just not wasting a single letter on the page. Whereas with the feature, you have a little bit more, flexibility. You can have a little bit more exposition and get away with it. But just with the short, you just can't waste a single second. And that was the goal from the very beginning, was just make sure you don't waste anything, keep it real tight.
a part of our production was that we had kids and we had real working actors, so it was really tough to get them for a certain period of time. So we shot the short in a day and a half. And so that was also really like, I mean, obviously it was, yeah, I am a AD. It was obviously daylight exterior, right? So we had like a certain amount of time, but so we really had to be cognizant of that, like when we were getting the kids. And so, and then Keith and I just really went over the script and tried to like call out any extra just to keep it as, you know, tight as possible, so.
Well, just because the show of which this forms a part is a short format show, you know, all the episodes are like this in some way or another, all in a short format. And I think as a writer and also for the actors, you're looking to try and inhabit a very detailed moment in somebody's life. And I think it was in Benny Got Shot, there's a line in there about how you're trying to find the humanity. You know, and I think that's what short films kind of do. They take a moment or they take a little short section, the same in yours in Friday Night. You're looking at someone's humanity in a very detailed and focused way, and I think that's where short films are really interesting. You know, feature's a different medium, and short films are just a completely different thing. It's not necessarily a jumping off point to, it is obviously a jumping off point to get into features, but a short film is a real piece of work unto itself. It's a real art form. And I think it is about finding a moment of humanity. And I think that's the same for the writer as it is for the actor and for the director.
Can we go ahead, Joey? Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, you know, it's also when you're writing a short film or when you're doing a short film and taking on what you said, it's like every scene almost has to have 3 jobs. You know, you have to be really economical, like you said, but also there's different jobs for each scene. For us, for this program that I was running, we had over 4,500 submissions of short films. So we had to treat it like it was a festival, and so we screened 4,500 short films, and ultimately I watched myself over 600. And of those 600, I would say about 200 of them were just amazingly phenomenal. Of those, I would say probably 100 of them just short films, and that's all they're going to be, and that's all they should be. And 100 more could easily be TV shows, feature films, anything else. So.
Let's talk for our actors in the room a little bit about your guys' process of finding your actors, going through the casting process, some things that maybe you learned, or kind of just what the process was for you guys. You want to share a little about that?
Yeah, I mean, from where I'm sitting, I think casting is like a big part of my job as a director. So with our piece in particular, it was kind of this like, I feel like you often find yourself at this really hard chasm to cross where I make these characters that are kind of apathetic or they're kind of hard to attach to. And then it's like, okay, now you got to cast it. You got to find somebody in these 2 sessions and 3 sessions. You get like 20 minutes to figure out if they can go through this whole range of emotions, but then not show any of it because the whole point, you know, is restraint, right? So it was very challenging, and we had a great casting director who was, you know, we pushed her and got a couple extra days to do more, you know, rounds of callbacks and all these things. So finding it was really difficult, but for me, what did it was once we got the poem, and then we got to send that out to everybody. And you see what actors can do with the monologue with no direction, with I'm just, you know, either on the other side of a computer screen or just on the other side of the desk, just watch you do what you came here to do, and that was like a very rewarding process.
I think I just lucked out. Honestly, I'm friends with Sam and Heather, and we had a small casting call for some of our smaller roles, but even a couple of those were people who were referred to me through other people who worked on the movie. So it just all was sort of like it all came together perfectly, and I don't really have anything special to say about it.
I feel like I'm going to follow suit with that. Fortunately for me, because I will say this, for those of you wanting to make short films, ask for help. People want to help you. People want to see you succeed, and they want to give you what they can. So when you ask people, to do things for you, most often they will, and I did. So the casting directors for Blackish cast my short, and I got incredible actors. I know, I don't know if you recognized Emily Proctor, but when I first started in this business, I worked on CSI Miami. So I emailed her and said, hey. And she said, sure, I'll do it if my daughter can be a part of it. And I said, okay. And she said, but you also have to pay my daughter $5. So we paid Pippa $5 to have her line, and Emily did the short. And then I also know Yvette Nicole. So those two were asks from me, and obviously Marseille, and then the rest were cast from Blackish Casting.
Yeah, also, annoyingly enough, we didn't cast for this either. But I will say, anyone who's making short films, again, is to use your connections as much as possible. And we don't have a lot of connections, but when I first wrote the show, my wife and I thought, is there any possible way that anyone that we know might know Marianne Jean-Baptiste, who we'd wanted to play the parole officer? And it just happened that someone that I'd done a play with in London many, many years ago ended up working with her in Broadchurch, and I reached out and said, is there any way you could get her the script? It really is like that, you know, and he sent her the script, and she happened to have finished Without a Trace, I think, or whatever the one she did after that. And it just worked out, timing worked out, and then when it came to Sharon's part, Marianne knows Sharon and had always wanted to work with her, knew that she'd be fantastic, and then all we had to do really was turn the camera on, and that was that. And it was really that simple. But I will say, this is a room of actors, which is very comforting, because I did act for a long time, but I am shit at auditions. Like, I'm just awful. And that's a real problem. That was a real problem for my career, and that's why I'm a screenwriter now. But I will say, like, it's a whole other thing. I think I'm quite a good actor, but a terrible auditioner. And also, I produced and wrote a pilot with John Scott, who's a director who's here tonight, some years ago. And I didn't enjoy the casting process. I didn't enjoy watching actors come in and have to do this very short, very intense, very decontextualized piece. I didn't enjoy watching them do that. It's very difficult. And I suppose the actors that came in and did a good job were the ones who managed to just say, oh, fuck it, it's all bollocks. I'm going to come in here, I'm only going to do this once. No, but if you come in and you say, I'm just going to do this once, I'm going to enjoy myself in the process, and that is infectious. If you can just find an honest moment in the room and not bring in all your preparation, I think you find something organic and normal and natural, and that sort of works, you know?
Well, we casted Adria here in Los Angeles, but as we know, we shot in Paris, and so the cast in Paris was mostly the directors, basically colleagues of the directors. I mean, he's a theater director in Paris, and so these are all actors that he's worked with many times, and that's basically how we casted. And
Great. I'm gonna stick with you, Joey. We heard a little bit from Anya, but I'd love to hear from you guys. Production days, kind of what was rehearsals, all that kind of a little bit behind the scenes of how the process was during on-set production time.
Well, we shot 8 days in Paris in the winter nights, so it was quite cold, and Adria was a trooper because it was really, really cold at night. And so yeah, we shot 8 days. It was, as you saw, that last final scene was very intense. Everything was fresh. Everything was really fresh still. And we couldn't even shoot in Paris, right, Dave? We couldn't shoot in Paris. We shot out. So yeah, I mean, it was just even getting all those extras and recreating that scene was so emotional. But we did it, you know, and I think it turned out nicely.
Yeah, we shot home in one day, and we didn't have very much money at all. We did make time for a rehearsal, and I think that was important, to sit down with a script with Sharon and Marianne. I think that's really important if you're directing a piece. If you can find the time before you shoot just to sit down and talk and not have the pressure of the cameras on you. So we did do that, and I think it showed. And Sharon too is an extraordinarily committed actor, and so we did, yeah. I mean, and we talked a lot on the phone, you know. And if Sharon had questions, we chatted, and yeah, it was that's really all there is to say.
I mean, the only other thing that I would say is we had a read through before, so we brought everyone together and had a read through, which was great to hear the words, and so we could do some final tweaking before shooting.
I wish I had that, but just everyone, all the cast, they're working actors, which is, thank God. So we couldn't schedule a table read. We shot for 4.5 days, 3 days in an old abandoned warehouse in downtown LA, and then another day and a half for our spectator scenes. It was exceptionally hard. I mean, the script I think was 19 or 20 pages long, so we shot 18 of that in 3 days. And the only way to pull that off was I'm an editor. I've been editing for film and TV for almost 15 years. So I knew exactly what coverage I needed, so the only way to really pull that off in 3 days was to go in with not just a shot list, but with an overhead game plan of every setup we're going to do. And I gave it to my AD. I said, here's what we're going to do. And just if there's anything in here that's unreasonable, let me know. And we just jammed. And this is the benefit of working with talented actors. You really don't have to do that many takes. I mean, that's, half or 80% of good directing is good acting. So I'm very grateful for my talented cast. We pulled it off, and we actually added a day. It was supposed to be 3.5 days. We added a day because we were going long on day 3, and isn't that how it always goes? And day 4 was rough because we had a long turnaround or short turnaround. But that just being really organized is what pulled it off. And if you want to not. We had 300 Kickstarter supporters on 6 continents who helped us make this movie. So to your point about asking for help, don't be afraid to do it. But you get one shot, I think, because you'll annoy the hell out of everybody after that. So anyway, that's sort of the behind the scenes of getting it made and getting it done.
Yeah, that's real. You burn your favors.
Yeah.
For us, we had 6 days, which was, it was great. It was really good because, we were all students, so we wanted to make sure that we had time to discover on set. And there was so much that was kind of not worked out in terms of how are we going to express some of these emotions? How is it going to be visually portrayed? We had a very strict shot list, but we wanted to feel free to throw it away at any moment. And I knew that for the big Benny scene at the end, I knew that there was going to be a lot of quick cuts, and we had a lot of shots planned. We came in with 50 or 60 setups for that one scene. So when we got to that section, we were booking, and we tried to schedule in a way that allowed us to do that. So the first 2 days we spent in the house and really chill schedule. Got to know everybody. I think it's important for the set to work like a family and not like work. Especially when everybody's working for free and you don't have all the bells and whistles, because we were blessed that a lot of our crew had been working professionally for years before, our Steadicam operator and most of our camera teams from True Detective, and we're we ain't shit basically. So it was nice to have real professionals come in and work for free and donate their time for these young kids that are trying to do something with something to say. You know what I mean? It wasn't just for filmmaking's sake. So with that, once we got to the morgue, it was okay, we got in rhythm. Iantha was killing it. We didn't need to do a bunch of takes, and we just worked it until we finished. We ended up shooting that scene that you were talking about with the humanity, with the older mortician talking about, just the value of life and stuff. We ended up having an hour to shoot that at the end of the whole 6-day shoot. So it was where did all the time go? We had all this time, then we lost all the time, but I think everything worked out as it was supposed to.
Great. We're going to be wrapping up soon, but we like to, because we have an audience of people also interested, as I told you guys, about maybe making their first short film, or that's something we talk a lot about here. Now that you've kind of done it and you're on this side, what are maybe one or two things, you guys mentioned a lot already, but maybe a couple more things you're like, okay, if you're making your first short film or whatever, don't forget this, remember this. If you forget anything we said tonight, take these two things home with you. Anybody can start.
I was going to say, make sure you love the script. Like, make sure you love what you're going to make, so that what you are making, you can communicate to other people how much you love it, because people get on the bandwagon when you can sell something that you love. But also, most likely you're making this to show to people or to bring to festivals, so you want it to be good. And I think if you love it and you love the words, other people are too. So don't just take a script because someone says, hey, you want to direct my short? And you're like, yeah, that's going to be great. Really think about what you're going to make, because it's the Kickstarter thing. It's like the one shot,
Can I just quickly second that? Just because it is, and as actors, you'll know this, if the script isn't good enough, the film won't be good enough. It's as simple as that. It just won't work. You can't make a terrible script into a good film. You can make a good script into a mediocre film. That's possible with some terrible direction, but it won't go the other way around. So get a good script. And the second thing I'd also say, I think, and I think in LA, and I think actually just in this industry as a whole, there's a lot of chatting. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. But just do it. Like, just do it. Like, I made a stupid film on my iPhone. It didn't really go anywhere, but I enjoyed making it, and it spurred me on to make another thing. So just do it. Go and do it. Get your friends together and just do it.
So you basically just said what I was going to say, but I want to say that it's, besides just do it, we live in a time now where it's so possible to do it. To not only go and make your own movie, to go and market your own movie, to do anything, to distribute your own film if you wanted to. So
I have one thought. If you do want to do the crowdfunding route, which that's an entirely separate discussion in and of itself, and I've got lots of wisdom to impart, but get help doing it. Don't do it all yourself. Steve here is our associate producer. Steve, his wife, and my wife were all working full-time with full-time jobs for a month running a Kickstarter campaign. It's a hell of a lot of work. Don't try and do it yourself, because it will be a lot harder.
Yeah, that too, because I feel you. My advice is to work with people that you love and like, because I got to have the best team in the world. They're all my closest friends. I'm sorry they couldn't be here, but if you're watching on YouTube or whatever, Jory, Jonique, Deuce, Rafi, love y'all, Jay, Tammy, Ianta's here. Shout everybody out. Because honestly, when you're up Schitt's Creek, you want to look to your left and your right and know that you got some riders with you, to be real with you. And I had riders with me. And we got one of our OGs came back to see the next project. What's up, man?
I think it's a great place to end. Let's give him a hand. Thank you. Thank you, each one of you.